Whoa, look at that sun. Wow.
Biologist Robin Kodner and her friends love a good light show. But tonight's display is not exactly what they had in mind.
So this thing right here is what we need to watch. It's definitely got some funky color and getting closer.
Wow. I want to get my boat because it's going to be warm inside my boat.
This is Friday Harbor in Washington's San Juan Islands. And despite the threat of lightning, Robin's got a date with some algae.
So there's this really cool group of algae that's very ancient. We think actually might be the most ancient of all the algae that's still alive. What's interesting is somebody who's an algae specialist like me only kind of calls these guys algae. So they're related to things that do photosynthesis, but they actually don't do photosynthesis.
What Robin's talking about are protists, a kingdom of life forms that aren't really plants and aren't really animals.
And what they do is they eat other algae that do photosynthesis. And the other really cool thing about them is they're super diverse. Maybe the most diverse group of organisms that we know about. So that makes them super successful.
But these single-celled organisms are tiny, and they're not always easy to find.
This is my first time paddling with lightning in the background. We are looking for the noctiluca.
The noctiluca is a great name because noctiluca in Latin means nightlight.
But so far, noctiluca's not really living up to its name.
One of the reasons why we might not be seeing it right away, even though it's getting dark, is that noctiluca actually has a circadian rhythm. So we have this like internal clock. It knows if it's night or day. That's one of the reasons why, even now at dusk, we're not really seeing it yet.
While noctiluca wakes up to the fact that it is nighttime, let's take a closer look at exactly what it is.
So we're going to do a plankton tow here off the outer dock.
Plankton, in case you forgot your high school biology, is a catch-all name for a variety of teeny tiny plants, animals, and other life forms that live in the ocean. And Robin's got a special net for collecting it.
So this net has 30 micron holes in it. There's a lot of the phytoplankton that are smaller than that, and they'll go out of the net. But the noctiluca that we're after, that's going to be way bigger than the holes in this net, and so it's going to be easy for those guys to get trapped in here.
Remember, we're talking relatively way bigger.
We can see them under the microscope really easily, and they're easy to identify. The very first thing I do when I collect a water sample is to take it back to the microscope and see who's there.
Is that it? It doesn't look like it's very much area to cover, but microscopically it's actually a lot of area. Oh, look at that. It's a little larvae. It's not noctiluca. Noctiluca is not this charismatic. There are tons of exciting things in here. See this guy swimming around? That is also not noctiluca. The hunt continues.
Among all the many residents
There's copepods in here.
of this single drop of water,
A bunch of little worms. There's a diatom swimming away.
finally,
Whoa.
Robin finds the tiny,
That's totally it, I think.
single-celled organism
So I found it.
at the center of her passion for microbes.
So these are the noctiluca cells. You can see a little tail moving around.
A closer look reveals tiny organs lining Noctiluca's cell wall.
And they're called scintillins. Inside of those, there are the chemicals that when they come together, produce the light. Because
You need to disturb the water to get that chemical reaction to happen.
because that's when the light is emitted.
Which brings us back to that nighttime paddle. Remember how Noctiluca means night light?
Oh, wow.
It's also called by what it does.
The bioluminescence we see is coming from right inside the cell. All we need to do is move the cell around a little bit so that it's shaken up.
When she's paddling inside the water, there's like this wake of sparks. Oh, it's so cool, man.
But picking it up on camera
I don't see video working. It seems like we can't crank the camera high enough.
requires some on-the-spot improvisation.
We're going to switch over to photographs. The exposures are slightly longer, which is what we need in order to draw the light out from the bioluminescence, because it's just not quite bright enough for video.
Pretty cool. Looks bright.
Oh yeah.
But why that light is produced isn't really clear.
Why would the organism invest all that energy in making the light? And it's not just to give us a light show, it's because we think there's an evolutionary advantage.
In other words, noctiluca's ability to produce light may help it survive.
It's when a predator swims by and moves the water around that the light will happen. And so the reason that we think it does bioluminescence is to distract its predator so that it can, swim away, or the predator is going to go away.
There are also theories about why noctiluca show up all over the world, but appear to like some places more than others.
So these are all questions that are right on the forefront of understanding microbial ecology, and I don't know that we really have a good answer for that. So every time you go out to the ocean and you're looking for something new, with microbes you find something brand new.
Wow.
While noctiluca's not giving up all its secrets yet, what is clear is that when you get a few million of them together, the conversation that ensues is extraordinary.
You ever seen the movie The Abyss? Boom, yeah. There it is right there.
It's almost like if you take a stick out of the fire and wave it in the air and the sparks fly off of it.
It's this way that these microbial communities really act together, almost like a single organism. We think of them as being so simple, but they talk to each other and they send all these chemical signals back and forth, so they really can have major effects on how the others behave.
We just need lightning strikes to not come down on us.
It's kind of nice ambient light show.
Light in the water and light in the sky.
Yeah.
Great people just doing their thing in their own Northwesty way. We love bringing you stories like this. Support what you love. OPB.org/video.